All right, guys, welcome back to the Uncaught Exceptions podcast. Today we have two special guests. Feel free to introduce yourself. Huqsan, go first.
Hi everyone. My name's Huqsan. I'm a software engineer and I make TikToks on the side about crypto.
Awesome.
TikTok's his side hustle, guys.
Hey
Yep.
everyone, my name is Alysia and my background is in software engineering. I'm blockchain data engineering and I also make crypto TikToks on the side / on the full.
All right,
Yeah,
let's put this on the record. Paras didn't get the memo apparently. Alysia is our third co-host for our crypto series. We just didn't give the memo to Paras apparently.
She's our crypto host. I forgot that she's our crypto host. My bad.
Yeah.
She's our I guess we have monthly crypto sessions now. And she's
Honestly,
our crypto host, our third
So-
crypto host.
Does that make me the only guest?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
so I guess-
Huqsan, how are you? How's life? How's crypto treating you?
Yeah, things are good. In life, not so good in crypto. You can only choose one, right?
Right.
So life's good because excited for the summer. Things are opening up, going to the gym more often.
Yeah, I see the pull-up bar.
Yeah, you can see the pull-up bar,
Ooh.
which I'm not using anymore because I can go out now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and crypto, just trying to manage risk and hold on to the cryptos that I believe in, even though they're down significantly.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to work on that hot girl summer, guys. So ladies, any ladies watching, I think he's single. Yes?
Yeah, I am single.
So let's get into kind of like your background and because you're also a software engineer at a FAANG company. So what was your like first experience with tech or computers? How just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, for sure. Where to start? So late in high school, I was always kind of a computer nerdy kid. Growing up, I played video games, and tried to get free stuff on the internet, and so I was kind of savvy with computers. And then later on in high school, I took like this coding course, really basic stuff, but that was my first exposure to programming. And when it came time to choose colleges, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'd rather choose. So my parents wanted me to go into like something medicine related. And I was like, I don't want to do that for sure. So I'd rather choose something I don't hate. Right. So I just chose software engineering as something that it wasn't something I loved per se because I didn't know much about it, but I didn't hate it either. And I went in, turned out to be a good decision. Did a bunch of internships in college. And none of them were FAANG internships. They're all like small companies like banks, little startups. There are some bigger companies in there, but just climbed my way through a bunch of companies. And after I graduated, I landed a job at a FAANG company and been there since the last 4 years.
Nice. Wait, where did you go to college?
So I went to the University of Waterloo in Canada.
Nice.
So it's well known in Canada, but I guess lesser known in the US.
No, it's known here, dude.
Yeah, it's known here.
Especially in the tech scene.
Known in the Caribbean as well.
So were you a part of like that? I know they have a big co-op program thing there. Were you a part of that?
Yeah. So I was part of the co-op program. Basically, instead of graduating in 4 years, you graduate in 5. On top of that, you don't have any summer vacations or any breaks.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is you do internships during those breaks. And if you do the math, if you extend the degree by 1 year and you have no summer breaks, the math turns out to be 6 internships in the 5 years. So 6 4-month internships is what I did. And that basically was the launch pad for me to get into a FAANG company.
That's super cool. That's hella cool because
Yeah.
no, because if you go the traditional route, you can only get 3. So like that's
Right.
kind of what
Yeah.
I did. So like I actually did like for my first internship, it was a co-op. But then after that I just did normal ones in the summer. So yeah, you don't get as much experience versus like if you extend that year, you're getting so much more. Yeah, you're saying 6. So that's basically like what 6 and then like 4 months each or a little bit less.
Yeah, it's 4 months each. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Like 2
yeah,
years of work experience almost from that. That's insane.
basically, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, back in the
So wait,
day,
so you're Canadian?
I am
Sorry.
Canadian. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I am Canadian. I live in the US right now, but
Okay.
yeah, I am Canadian. And yeah, this was before Waterloo was well known. Um I don't want to reveal my age, so it was like a decade ago. But
Same.
so now it's really hard to get into these universities and colleges, and also hard to get into internships. But back then it was a bit easier.
Yeah, I feel like it's gotten a lot more competitive since like being a tech nerd is like cool now, as opposed to like before it wasn't cool to be nerdy, but now nerd culture has kind of taken over, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's definitely in.
It
It's
is.
trendy. Um, at the same time, though, I think the demand is still there.
Yeah.
It's just not as straightforward to get into these companies. But yeah, the demand is there. It's not saturated yet, at least. I think so.
So so right after college, did you go directly to Facebook and you've been there since or?
Yeah, that was my first job right out of college.
Yeah.
So
This
yeah,
Wow.
brainiac.
That's crazy.
How
So
was like the process? Was it
yeah.
like aggressive leak code? I assume, yeah.
yeah. I tell people, hey, you got to do the lead code. You
Yeah.
got to do lead code early on, like not like in your last year of college, but second year, third year, right? But I say that, but I didn't do that myself. I did it the hard way. So the 6 internships, they were all smaller companies, but that doesn't mean I didn't try to get into the bigger companies. I would try and fail every single time. And so I kind of learned from failure. So the process was kind of like do some very basic coding questions from this book called Cracking the Coding Interview.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like very easy questions. So at least I know, okay, I might, like, I'm not rusty, and then go fail some interviews. And that was my process. But definitely not a good process. And you can do much better by just preempting yourself, just practicing those lead code questions from the get-go.
How would you say, obviously, like there's a lot of kind of talk about working at Facebook. How would you say your experience has been working there for a few years? Like, and how do you like, you clearly like it because you've been there for a while.
Yeah, I mean, working in big tech, it's like a love-hate or bittersweet type of thing. There's many things to like and many things to not like. This goes not only for Facebook, but all of big tech, at least from what I've heard. So things I like, basically, there's comfort and stability, right? So it's a big company, it's stable, you have an income, you're not really worried about the company going under, and they also pay well. Like that's very clearly a huge benefit. The other sides is you get to learn from pretty smart people. They're not like I wouldn't say they're like the top of the industry, but they're up there in terms of building really scalable systems. And you can basically choose which part of the stack you want to work on for the most part. So you can come in as a new grad with very little like industry experience, and within a couple of years you can have pretty deep experience in any tech topic you like, because the company's so big, they're pretty much touching everything, right? That's the good. The bad, obviously, there's always going to be some politics. There's always going to be some work-life balance issues. Not as bad as startups, but it's not an easy job. And what else? You might feel like a cog in the system sometimes, because it's such a big company. So there's all those downsides.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also heard that like basically Facebook's like really like product driven. So it's like you want to deliver as fast as possible. Versus like I've heard Google is more like engineering driven where they're gonna do every type of test first and then they're gonna deliver the project. So like how do you like that perspective where you're always on a timeline?
Yeah. So that's like partially true. So
Okay.
if you split Facebook into two pieces, one is
Yeah.
the infrastructure side of things and one is the product side of things. What you said is absolutely true about the product side of things. There's always a
Okay.
deadline, and as for such a big company, it moves fairly quick. So I've worked in both areas, and the infrastructure side is more what you might have in mind, like what Google does, where
Yeah.
things are slower moving, and there's emphasis on like testing, scalability, all these things. So I think Facebook gets that rep maybe from a couple of years ago,
Okay.
but now it's a much bigger company now, so things are changing a little bit.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you able to talk about like what your stack there is, or are you working on the front end or the back end, or?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So it's not a secret. Right now I'm working on some more of the product side. So
Okay.
it's kind of like not front end. It's not like JavaScript, React, and all these other things because I don't know those things. But it's more on the web back end. So it's producty, but like web APIs and stuff like that. So Facebook stack, it's basically PHP, but they call it Hack, which is their.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's crazy because they basically do use PHP, but they've kind of forked PHP and made their own language called Hack. And it's you can't even call it PHP anymore. It's like really different. But people just call it PHP because it's what it's most similar to. No one really knows when I say Hack. It's like no one knows what that is. So yeah, we code in that primarily because as Paris mentioned, like it's fast moving, right? The product side. And basically, if you code it in PHP, you know that you can move pretty fast in PHP, but maybe not like the code isn't as elegant. But they kind of took from that. What do you call it? They took from that PHP. They took that from PHP and like tried to add some typing and all these other features in the Hack language.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not even like a framework of PHP. It's kind of its own thing.
Yeah, it's not a framework. It's like its own language. I think it's compiled. They have like it's not compiled, but they have their own like interpreter. Okay. So it's a it's a language basically.
Yeah.
I only said oh no because we bag on PHP so much on Tech Talk. And
everyone
I also
does,
have a bad experience with it because this company that I got hired for, I was like doing PM stuff, but they wanted me to handle some of their like dev stuff since I was like studying it, and I completely took down their entire site because I fucking didn't save the code base. I don't know where it went, and their site was completely fucked. So I just have a bad experience with
That's
I know that is
wait, so they didn't have version control or what?
Nah, dude, like their site was like janky as hell.
Yo,
so and I was like, talking big game, like I knew exactly what I was doing. So I took it and it was not good. So yeah, that's just yeah.
That sounds like a bigger problem than just PHP.
Yeah, that sounds like
that
sounds like they don't got a dev team and they hired an intern to do dev work.
Well, really though, it was like that. And I pretended like things were fine. I basically I made like static pages that were just like sitting there. Nothing worked. It was, anyway, we don't need to get into that, but that's my hate with PHP. That's all. That is a hate. Anyways, so let's kind of get into your like journey into crypto then, because I don't know if you were creating crypto content before, but now you're a big time crypto content creator now.
Yeah,
he's big time, dude. He big timed us real quick.
He is big. He big timed us real quick.
Nah, I wouldn't say big time. Not at all, because my views are down like crazy recently, but regardless, so crypto, let's see, where do I start? So my journey in crypto started way back, actually. Back in college, this was maybe 2014. 2014, I was living with a bunch of roommates, and one of them mined Bitcoin back then. So he was like living in the basement of our place. I hope he's fine me telling this, but and he had this rig, right? This big like multiple GPUs, and I was like, man, what is that, right? And it's like constantly running, and we had like free electricity, I think, so it was just like all good.
What?
And yeah, this is way back.
Wow.
It's like a dorm room or something, right? It was just a subletting place. So he's mining Bitcoin, and that's when I learned about Bitcoin and blockchain technology at a very like basic level, and that's kind of when I got exposed to it. But obviously, I didn't buy any Bitcoin. It was like super sketchy. I did not know. Like I had no money, first of all, to invest. Like I was a student, and to like it just seemed sketchy, right? And there's like hacks and stuff, so I kind of ignored it. And then fast forward to 2017. Now I have money because I graduated, and I'm like, okay, I'm investing in stocks and stuff like that. And crypto is just blowing up in 2017. And me being
there's that huge Bitcoin. Everyone was talking about Bitcoin, like
exactly
end of 2017.
Exactly, right? And I was like, man, like I actually know how it works now, right? And this is like legit. It's blockchain technology. So I invested at the top of the 2017 market, because I had good understanding of the technology, but bad understanding of the financial markets. So I just thought, hey, I'll buy it, and I put in a couple thousand at the top, and like literally at the top, and it just crashed down. And I didn't only buy Bitcoin. I bought a bunch of altcoins that I don't even remember, that are all dead now. So I was trying to be like smart, like too smart for my own good. I was like, oh, I actually understand the technology. Let me find like the next Bitcoin, or the next Ethereum. I was trying to do that in 2017. Complete flop. 2018, I was like, whatever couple thousand I invested in got wiped out. But I did hold the Bitcoin that I invested in 2017. So the good thing is I had that down, like just hold, right? And don't sell. And then now 2020 comes, and I started investing. Like the pandemic happened, a bunch of the stock market crashed, crypto crashed. I started investing into crypto again, right? Like, so what happened is I got burnt in 2018, which is really bad. Getting burnt is, I say this a lot, like don't get burnt, because then you'll forget about it. You'll just be pissed off and you'll turn away. The real opportunity was in 2019, right? So I forgot about it, came back in 2020. I was like, okay, like stocks, everything's dead now. Let me see what I can invest in. Invested in some basic stuff, and that was doing well. And then later in 2020, I opened a TikTok channel or page, whatever, and I was talking about software and stuff like that, and it was like doing well because people just liked the software content, like how much income software engineers make, et cetera, et cetera. And then I thought one day, this is early 2021, why don't I just like make some crypto content, because I'm investing in it anyways, right? So I made this one TikTok. It was about API 3, which now has completely crashed.
That's the one that got me to get into API 3.
Yeah, the one I still get hate for today, but that one TikTok blew up. And that was before like many of the other TikTok content creators, crypto TikTok content creators came on. So I think it was just like the beginning of the exponential rise of crypto content creators or TikTokers. And I was just at the beginning of that curve. It was a complete fluke that blew up. And the thing is, you get a ton of followers. So I think that got like 700,000 views, but the followers from that was like 20,000 or something like that. So like that ratio is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And ever since I saw that happen, I was like, okay, tech does well in terms of views, but bad in terms of follows. Like crypto, even if you get like 10,000 views, people really want to like stay with you, stick with you, and follow you, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I made the rotation. Long story long.
It's true
So
though.
how
I
do
can
you
vouch
feel-
for that. That happened to me too. Cause like with tech stuff, it also just felt like a chore for me to do tech because I'm still in school. And like once I started creating crypto content, like people just follow you for no reason. You can make the dumbest video and people are just like following you. Because I guess crypto is still very niche. Go ahead, Alicia.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think with crypto, when you make content about creating ways to make money, people are interested. So
True.
for you, Huqsan, when you're looking at crypto projects, especially as somebody who understands the technology, I can imagine you feel sort of like every project sounds like a good idea. So how do you choose the ones that you think are the actual winners?
Yeah, so this is a great question. Um, Basically, I try to be as skeptical as possible. So, you know, I got burnt in crypto in 2017, and I'll remember that forever, right? Why did I get burnt? Because I was just looking at the technology. I thought I was smarter than everyone else. I was like, I know the technology, and that made me arrogant. So now what I was missing is an understanding of the financial markets, right? And actually, if you combine understanding of technology with understanding of the markets, then you have the full picture, or at least what you might hope is the full picture. So what I look at is first the technology has to make sense, right? That's a given. But assuming that, that's all good because there's many projects where the technology makes sense. Then number one, I have to have passion for it. It sounds really dumb, but it has to be an area that I'm passionate about. I'm not really into like microfinancing and lending. So, I can like completely like ignore those, right? Because without the passion for that area, I won't be able to hold in a bear market, right? And then two is looking at sort of the charts, right? So I'm not a chartist, so I'm not talking like looking at support levels and Bitcoin and like 30 like EMAs and stuff like that, but more looking at how healthy the volume is, right? Because volume dictates like people are trading it, right? And if it's like something that's very high market cap, very low volume, people aren't really looking at it and it's not trading healthily, right? So volume. Another is sort of, is it something that I can see uh, lasting in a bear market, and is it something that's not too expensive? So that's a very subjective analysis, but if I see something worth like 10 billion, I know it's inflated. I know it's a bubble because that number, if I compare it to a stock that's worth 10 billion or a company worth 10 billion, you'll immediately see what does a company do, how much cash flow do they make, and what does this crypto do that's worth 10 billion, right? So you can get a feeling for it, right?
Yeah.
And the last thing is venture capitalists. So I've kind of made a little internal like spreadsheet for myself where I look at a bunch of venture capitalists and what they invest in. And you can see like the successes of the past, right? You can see who invested in, Polygon Matic or, some of these other heavy hitter projects. And what are they investing in now? That will tell me, which projects can last in a bear market where, people will continue to get paid because there's capital coming in. So it's like a mix of all these things. I try to just combine it all. And then also I'll look for other people's opinions sometimes. Either like experts, quote unquote, or like people who are actually in blockchain like development, or maybe other content creators, what they're saying sometimes. So it's all these signals basically.
So then, Huqsan, how do you feel about everyone investing into crypto now? A lot of people don't understand the technology. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology is still sort of experimental. As you compared, a company that's 10 billion may not have as much cash flow as a company that's in the stock market. So what do you think about that? Do you think people are too blind when it comes to investing into crypto because they genuinely don't try to understand the technology? Or do you think it's fine for them to just invest because they feel like it's a good project?
Yeah. So I think for the general public, there has to be at least some research done. You don't have to understand the technology from like first principles. But my opinion is at least get a bunch of opinions and do some reading, right? So I think that's a bare minimum for the average retail investor. In terms of in terms of like at what point should you buy, right? That's the question you're asking. I always say that it doesn't matter whether you buy or not, but if you do buy, always manage your risk in terms of how much exposure you have to crypto. So this is like, this really depends on who you're talking to, right? Because you can have retail that is like us. We work, we have an income, let's say, and we have the luxury of losing some money, right? So then our answer could be, like fully risk on, take on like an extreme amount of risk, maybe invest in some very new projects. Whereas someone who is struggling to put food on the table, they'll have a completely different answer. I would say like, stick with like literally the top 10, some of the top 10 coins today that are pretty comfortably going to stick around, like Ethereum and stuff like that. Yeah, that's kind of the quick take on that.
Yeah, I liked your video, the recent one where you made about how like you have obviously the luxury as a software engineer and like your salary to be able to like invest into these cryptos. And like newer retail investors don't have that luxury. And you're right. And like the fact that you're informing them of this, it's cool because not a lot of creators are doing that. They're just like shilling their project that they think is like that's gonna blow up and moon.
Yeah, I mean, I do my fair share of shilling, so I'm not immune to shilling. The thing I do say is like, don't pick something, like just figure out which box you want to be put into, or which door you want to open, right? Like for a lot of people, like people with a lot of capital, they can take all these risks, and also they can invest a significant amount in the safer projects, right? So they can have the best of both worlds. But most people, the reality is most people on TikTok specifically have, they're younger people, and they have less capital, like maybe $1,000 or under $10,000 to invest. So I'll say like, yeah, either just pick your path. So go with one of the top tens, or go with something where it's like super new, and it has the potential to really moon, right? And it also has the fundamentals, right? Because all the top 10 projects, they were tiny, a couple of months ago or a year ago. They were like really tiny, and like years ago they were non-existent basically. Yeah. So if you do this exercise where you imagine like 5 years from now what the top 10 is, I guarantee you there will be some top 10 coins that will swap out, and like some new coins will take their place. So there's still opportunities coming in, and I'll sometimes shill those.
Is that shilling though? Because like you're actually doing your research, you're not, I guess it's shilling because you're trying to hype it up, but it's not really
trying to boost it, dude. Trying to boost it. You put 10K and then make a video on it. You're like, hey.
You're like, yeah.
Go buy. And then cash out, after.
Yeah. I mean, I always technically, yeah, it is I guess, I mean, I don't know what the definition of shilling is.
Yeah,
but
I don't. Yeah,
it's like,
we just like use this buzzword just because it's.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it becomes shilling maybe when you do too much, right? Maybe like if you're doing like one every day, or like maybe that's too much. Like I'll like shill something maybe once every week or 2 weeks. Like it's like even less now because crypto's down. So at the peak of the market, I was probably shilling like once every week at max. And I'll be like, hey, this is cool. But at the same time, I usually try to give the price I entered at and how much.
Yeah.
So it's like people have an idea of, okay, like that's the price he got in at, right? That's the price I want to get in at or lower. So even on Twitter, I'll do that, where it's like, hey, I'm thinking anything that's super risky, I'll say super risky. This is what I bought at. If you can get it lower, even better. If for you, like if you want to, I try to like circumvent the shilling through that.
That's good.
Dude, I don't know what it means, dude. I can't even find it online.
Paris is like Googling.
I think shilling is if you give your sales pitch for a cryptocurrency. So if you're like, Alysia, what's your favorite cryptocurrency and why? And you say only positive things, I think that's shilling. It's like trying to sell you.
Yeah. Good point. Like you're not
Yeah.
giving
I
like
think
the
you have to give the full
negative
story.
aspects of the projects, only the positive. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's a great definition. Yeah.
I made it up. I didn't even know.
Guys,
No, I don't know.
That's the vibe I get.
defined what
That's the vibe I
shilling was
get.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something along the lines of that, probably.
Yeah. I can see the tough part of, avoiding shilling by that definition of, trying to give the full picture, because, TikTok is such a brutal app that like people only want to say the things that will keep your attention. That's the reality. So let's say you're talking about a project, you're hyping it up, right? That's keeping people's attention. The moment you flip from that, you just lost like your watch time retention at that point on. And
Yeah.
that can be the difference between a viral TikTok and something that does poorly, or gets like a couple hundred to a couple thousand views versus hundreds of thousands. That's what I've seen. Not me personally, but like in general, like for content creators, they'll talk about one thing, the positive, and then in the comments they might go back and be like, oh yeah, there's this risk.
I mean, yeah, that's the way the internet is nowadays. It's like people want the strong headline, like this crypto will change the world, right? Like they're gonna put that in the headline and then give all the positive. This is why it's gonna change the world, and then give nothing of, oh, there's environmental factors to this project. This project creates 1,000 metric tons of carbon emissions every second or something. Like who knows what that crypto project's doing. So that's why people, like they're just going for the headline, getting the views, and then calling it a day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and TikTok is an extreme version of that, because at least
Exactly.
headlines has an article below it that you can read.
Yeah.
Whereas TikTok is just like 30 seconds. That's all you get.
As content creators, like in the crypto space now, like including like, Paris isn't doing crypto
I'm not
content,
really in the
but he is
crypto, dude.
working on like, yeah, he's working on a blockchain startup. So he's like, he understands the tech side of it. Like as crypto content creators, like where do we draw the line though? Like it's like everything. I feel like if people don't agree with you on like a project, you're shilling. Like there's no middle ground.
That's just internet cancer, dude. You just got to deal with it. That's just how the internet works. Like if you tweet something, you're gonna get 15 like replies to it saying like, no, you're wrong, right? Like just people are cancerous, man.
I mean, but again, like go ahead.
Not shill. Like for me, I much prefer to bring out content that I think is authentic as much as I can. I still care about not having a video that's too long, but I much prefer that the content I push would not get stitched by someone and then someone misrepresents the things I say. So I care more about bringing authentic content these days. Before I was trying to do a mix of both, and it just was not working because people comment all sorts of stuff in your post, and you're like, "This is not what I was trying to say," but I see why you think that.
I guess there's also a balance between like viral content and content for your fan base.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the times your fan base will be positive towards whatever you're making, right? In general. Generally it's gonna be like, okay, yeah, we agree with what you're saying. But then if you're doing viral content and then it's like viral for the wrong reasons, then you're gonna get the cancerous ones coming in.
What are your thoughts on like creators though that are actually shilling and that are getting paid for these shitcoin promos?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a fine line. So for me, I actually don't know many TikTokers because I know a few. I know you guys and some others, but I haven't actually come across people shilling shitcoins explicitly, like super scammily, if that's a word. But my thoughts would be, there's one side of me that says, people trying to get the bag,
right?
Let them, they're content creators. But there are repercussions, and I think if you shill a shitcoin, eventually you will lose your reputation. So not only like there is a negative consequence of people losing money, but as soon as you make a bunch of people lose money, your views will drop because people will just not take you seriously anymore. So I think it's a self-governing system in that way.
Yeah, I guess it's like blockchain where your reputation can go down on the node side, like
Yeah, but
so
maybe for some crypto influencers, they don't care because if there's like bull and bear markets, they're like, okay, fine, I will be an influencer in this bull cycle and then I'll just disappear. So maybe for some of them, they don't care because of how cyclical it is. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure some get away with it, right? Like I'm sure even if there's like a younger audience, like I'm sure you can like pump a coin for one day, right? Make a video on it and then delete that video later and everyone forgot that you even made that video, like a month from now. So you could probably get away with it, but like, yeah, I guess it's like, it's always that argument of like, do you want to do it the right way or, you can do it the wrong way and make some money now, right? For maybe even a year. And then after some point, people are going to catch on,
Yeah.
Recently though, it's gotten pretty bad on Crypto Talk. Like it's at the GameStop stock talk stage right now with all the like safe moons and like the Shibas and the Hojes. Like the shilling has gotten pretty bad on that end. And I feel like as content creators, we have a responsibility to like inform the audience of all of the repercussions of
with
like
great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. But I feel like a lot of kids they don't really care about that. They just want to make their money and like get out real quick. And
dude, there's entire discords for just pumping random blockchains and selling out later. Like there's so many of those I've been seeing online. So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, there's also that's the same thing with penny stocks and any other financial like highly volatile financial instrument. One thing I've done is you can tackle it from the what do you call it? Not the bottom up, but the top down, like in terms of tackle the bigger content creators that are doing this. So like there's all these little ones, right? That are maybe shilling stuff. And that's like really hard to fight. Like you can stitch it, but as it's just it doesn't, I don't think it puts that big of a dent. But if there's like a really big content creator that's either shilling something that's not that good, it's going to be a rug pull, or it's not a rug pull, but it's a project that, like they're giving really bad price targets, or they're just encouraging people to get in risk like without understanding the risk, then you can tackle those big cases, right? Maybe stitching or commenting or responsive video somehow. I haven't really done that much because I can barely make like informational
keep
content,
up with your own, right?
Yeah. But it's something that I've thought of at least.
Definitely.
I think when I see big influencers doing a promotion about a cryptocurrency that isn't very valid, I wonder if they themselves may not realize that it's not a good cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And a good example,
Definitely.
maybe a bad example, is Kim Kardashian. So she promoted Ethereum Max, and they probably paid her a pretty penny. And I'm sure if I spoke to her, if she was my friend, I'd be like, girl, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Like, it does not make sense. It's just a cryptocurrency that clearly was created to be pumped. It doesn't even have any fundamentals. So I think in some cases, a project can present itself to a big influencer and say, hey, this is our roadmap. We plan to do X, Y, Z. And that might be the reason why they promoted it. So personally, I don't want to attack influencers for creating content unless they are known, like they only promote.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, right? Like that's the whole reason they did Kim Kardashian, right? Like they knew her team knew nothing about crypto. And like this girl's team knows nothing. They know about makeup. They don't know about anything about crypto. Let's try to get her in. And then she has probably one of the biggest audiences in the entire world, right? Like, so I guess it was a smart play on their side. I don't know, but like, what can you? Yeah, like for that case, it's like whatever.
Same thing with Floyd Mayweather, right? He also had a hat or something with the Ethereum Max, and his what do you call it? His boxing shorts.
Dude, but isn't he on like some contract, or like didn't he get in trouble a few years ago about another project, and he wasn't supposed to be shilling any more crypto projects for like a 3-year period? But I think it's within the 3-year. Like I think he's doing it like in a subtle way with the hats and stuff, but isn't that still against? whatever charges he had?
Dude, he's
Is
too
that
rich
not?
for it to matter, dude. It doesn't.
You can't mess with the SEC like that, though. Isn't
And he had
I
to
mean,
pay a lot of money actually, because I think he got sued and he had to pay a lot of money, maybe
oh
even
really?
more than yeah, like
Yeah,
I
I
think it
mean
was 3
maybe.
million or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's why he fought Logan Paul. Maybe he had to make that money back.
scary thought
So
though,
Huqsan,
like as an influencer, like in the
what's
crypto
that?
space. I'm saying that's kind of a scary thought to be in that space where you
Dude,
are an
they're never
influencer.
gonna come for you. They're never gonna
I'm
come for you. You're
not,
too
bro.
small
I
for
have
their
12,000 followers.
for
They're not coming for me.
their
I'm
yeah,
just
for
saying.
their thing. Like they'll come for Floyd because he's worth like $800 million. Like that's why they'll come for Floyd, but not you.
Thanks, Paras. I
Yeah,
know.
I
I
hope
know
One
that
day,
keeps
one
you
day they'll
safe,
come
dude.
for you.
One day, dude.
One day they will.
Once you're
No, I
worth
don't want
like
it.
One day.
I don't
100
want
million,
it.
maybe they'll come for you, dude.
No,
They want
Huqsan's
some
gonna
of
get
that.
me
They want
too.
some of that 100 million.
We're gonna see Huqsan like on like headline on CoinDesk. Influencer, shitcoin shilling influencer gets charged. I don't know what the headline would be for that. Let me stop.
I mean, some of the projects I've shilled have done worse than some of the shit
Hello?
coins.
Yeah, dude, you froze. You are
What the
frozen.
heck?
Did I freeze? Hello?
No, Krystal froze. Krystal froze.
Oh, okay.
At
Okay.
least on my side. Did she freeze on your side?
She's frozen right now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know where.
So
she
for
went.
the top 10 cryptocurrencies, let's
Yeah.
check to see which ones you consider overrated or underrated. I wrote them
Oh.
down for today and I excluded all the stable coins, okay? Because obviously a stable coin, I don't know if you would read that.
Oh, you could
Krystal.
rate it. You could rate USDT as terrible, but
All right, so Bitcoin, overrated or underrated?
so wait. I always get confused with it. Overrated means like I don't think it's that good compared to the general public, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Bitcoin overrated. Yeah.
Ooh, why?
So Bitcoin so when I do my overrated underrated, I have to take into consideration price, right? So a lot of people think Bitcoin will just magically go to $100,000 because of various charts and whatnot. As an investment, as a reserve, like if you hold a certain amount of Bitcoin, just stash it away. That's really good. But Bitcoin as an investment, oh, it's gonna make a lot of money. I don't think it's good because there are very few developments in Bitcoin, whereas other altcoins will continue to have developments improve for like actually being useful. And there's just I think the narrative around Bitcoin being like something like gold, where it's going to be a reserve asset and it's going to hedge against inflation. I just don't buy that story fully, right? So I can't buy the technology because it's not improving, and I can't buy the narrative because I don't believe the US dollar is just going to get destroyed completely. There will be inflation, but it's not going to be to the extent where Bitcoin's worth $1 million one day, right? So that's my reason for overrated.
All right.
I agree.
Cool.
Yeah.
I agree. I care about utility a lot of the time. So
Yeah,
unless
it's
they
controversial.
fork, unless they
Yeah.
fork,
Yeah.
I doubt they're gonna add that. But let's see.
I still
are we
hold
doing
Bitcoin though.
Oh yeah.
I have to.
Wait, I'm sorry. I like went away for a second. My internet went out. We're doing overrated, underrated.
Yeah, so for the
Yeah.
top 10 cryptocurrencies, excluding
Okay.
stable coins. So Ethereum.
Can we do more than top 10? I have some shit coins I want to ask
Damn,
about.
you wanna? How deep you wanna
Okay,
go?
we do shit coins after.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so-
Go ahead.
Alicia's asking-
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
Yeah.
I want to say this is just right. It's like where I expect it to be. So when it was at 4,000, as an investment, I would say it's overrated. It's a bit too high, and the gas fees are just going out of control. But
Out of control.
yeah, I think it's in the middle, right? Because it's not overrated because there is a ton of utility. They're trying to improve their platform with ETH 2.0 and whatnot. There's tons of apps or dApps that are being developed on it. So it's not overrated, but at the same time, it's not underrated because it's number 2, and it's got a like 250 billion market cap.
Yeah.
And it's and there's gas fees, so it's not underrated because they haven't fixed their gas fee. I think it's just right.
Yep.
Binance Coin.
Binance Coin. I think Binance Coin is overrated. I always compare Binance Coin to Cardano because they're like really close together in terms of value right now, at least. And obviously people will say Cardano has nothing. Literally, it's just they have nothing on it, and Binance has stuff on it. But what I've seen is, first of all, like this is personally, like I just think Binance Coin feels like scammy because there are so many shit coins on it. Now that doesn't mean they can't do legit stuff, but for its valuation, I just prefer Cardano because they're just trying to build stuff from the ground up, whereas Binance Coin has cheap gas fees, and basically that's it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Were you gonna say something, Krystal?
No, I mean remember I was telling you that I was like so sketched to get into Binance because of all the shit coins. Like it just seems so like Huqsan said, like it just seems so scammy. I'm completely out of all of my positions on BNB and Cake as of a couple weeks ago.
I mean, if you still use the Binance Smart Chain, you need BNB to pay gas fees. So at least it has utility and you have to use it. So if you are participating in any apps or games on the Binance Smart Chain, then holding it is not necessarily an investment, but more like you have to pay for your gas. So it depends on how you use it. But yeah. Okay, Cardano then. Is Cardano overrated or underrated?
Cardano.
Yeah, Cardano is so I love Cardano. That's probably my biggest holding. But I'm going to have to say that right now at its price it's overrated because it's just too valuable for something that doesn't really do anything yet. The anticipation is way too high for Cardano. I have a feeling that if Bitcoin doesn't do well, it's going to just crash through a floor after they launch their smart contracts, which is very soon, I think.
It said Haskell said 90 days, right? Like a week ago. So let's see if that happens.
Not only that, but if it gets delayed again, oh man, it's gonna be there's gonna be blood in the streets. So overrated just because of the price. But in terms of the project, I would say I'm almost fanboyish for Cardano. I try to keep it very critical, but in terms of their philosophy of, first of all, basically doing everything like academically, right?
Yeah, research-based development. Yeah.
On top of that, you have Ethereum co-founder like Charles Hoskinson leading it, and then in terms of how they approach like their partnerships, right? They're trying to do a bunch of things in Africa. Like their whole, like Charles Hoskinson's whole thing is he wants to make Cardano like so good and like working in Africa, certain places in Africa, that like the US will have to, or the other countries will have to adopt it, just looking at that as an example. So that makes me kind of fanboyish. So, but I would say overrated overall.
Did you watch the interview with him on Lex Fridman?
Yeah, I watched parts of it. That was a good interview.
He was talking about that on there. Yeah, he was like, yeah, we could make it like where other countries are literally running on this stuff, and the US is going to be like, wait, why aren't we doing that? Like,
exactly.
That's what he was talking about. So I was like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, they're also running on proof of stake already, I believe. So they're all their blocks consensus. It's already on proof of stake. I know there's other projects.
It's on like, it's like some like variation of proof of stake, right? Like some, like they're doing some tweak on it. I don't know all the details of it, but they're doing something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on their research. They created their version. And I think Cosmos actually uses the same proof of stake algorithm that they used. But the fact that they are on proof of stake, for me, it's not really a big props. And the reason why I say that is because they had nothing running on the blockchain. So they could easily convert from proof
they can go back.
Which is what they did. They started and and then they converted. So that's why I'm like, that's good. I'm happy to hear it is better that happened before and after. But for me, it's not like an extra point. It's more like it's good to know that you are in check.
mean, I guess their time is coming, right? Once they do smart contracts, a lot of stuff's gonna start running on it. So it'll be interesting.
But yeah, I mean, that's Alicia's reason is why I would say it's overrated, because in terms of like ecosystem, they have nothing. And also in terms of price, it does not make sense at all. It's like it's on what I call like a slippery slope. Like it's not proof of success yet, right? But it has a price of proof of success. So it's tough.
And as a software engineer, how did you feel about the deadline being pushed back? Were you understanding or were you upset?
I'm understanding of it. I mean, in fact, like it being pushed back, I initially I saw it as an opportunity to accumulate more, but I'm understanding of it. Stuff gets pushed back all the time, and this thing is going to be, this is like probably their biggest milestone, right? Getting smart contracts. So it totally makes sense to me.
Yeah. Like, for me, it's like I guess it's not a problem, but like, I guess they got to do it now, like they can't push it again, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like if they push it again, everyone's going to be pissed off.
Yeah. There's like this, not the saying, but this like practice done in like, at least at my work, where it's acceptable to push back things once usually.
Yeah.
And when you push it back once, you give the new deadline or whatever, right? But the moment you push it back a second time, that's when you feel like things are unreliable, because you're going back on your word twice almost, if that makes sense. So one pushback is fine.
Yeah.
Krystal, if you want, you can do your shit coins now, because I think it'll take long to go through the top 10. So you can jump in with the coins.
Sorry, I'm slow, guys.
No, I wanted.
It's good. It's good. No, I mean we got the big ones out of the way, right?
Yeah, we got the big ones.
She stopped right before Doge.
Oh wait, is it Doge next?
All right, let's hit Doge then. Let's hit Doge.
Yeah, let's hit Doge. Hit Doge. Go ahead. Doge.
Absolutely useless.
Doge.
Forest.
Yeah, basically, Doge, I think is overrated. I think Doge is a great instrument to trade, or it's not instrument, sorry, like an asset to trade, because it has that volatility, and also it has that Elon potential, right? Like he just, like, if you think about it, if you like try to figure out or just toy with this idea that what is the probability that Elon will pump Doge again in the future, you could say it's pretty high. Like you could say it's pretty high. So then all it boils down to, in terms of making money, obviously in terms of a project, Overrated doesn't do anything, right? But in terms of like an investment, you could find an entry price where it's just, if it's really beat down, you just buy some, right? And then you just wait till he's going to talk about it, right? So you just wait till that and you could dump it then. So there's that play.
It's like almost inevitable, but I also can't really hate on Doge, only because it, like, this is kind of embarrassing. It was my first crypto that I bought like a couple years ago, because it was like under a penny. It was on Robinhood. I was like, fuck it, like let me just buy a few. And so it was kind of like my gateway into crypto. So I really can't hate on it. And it is a gateway for a lot of new investors into crypto. So I also can't hate on it on that aspect, but it is useless. It is a meme coin.
Did you hold?
No, I don't hold anymore. I sold most of my bag.
You sold all her crypto, guys. She's
yeah, all of it, every single one,
really?
every single one. No. I sold when we had that first pump and it got to like 6 cents. I was like, there's no way it can get higher than this. Like if I don't take profit now, I'm fucked. And then, and then we know what happened. So I would have had a nice chunk of change if I would have kept it, but yeah. Can't hate on it too much.
There's also there's this thread about Elon trying to like work with Doge, he's trying to develop on Doge.
Restart it.
No,
I doubt it though. I really doubt it. Like,
Vitalik
Buterin was talking about it, and he's just like, dude, that code is so old. That code is like ancient. So it's like you would have to revamp the whole thing.
That was the article I read, is like Vitalik isn't like opposed to working on a bridge for Doge to like make some utility out of it. But I just don't know why that would be a thing though. Is that
maybe, yeah, but that just sounds like wrapping Doge and putting it on the Ethereum blockchain. So it doesn't really like change
Exactly.
Doge. Just like
that's it?
just like it's like it's
Well,
just
it
Doge.
does,
It
because
just
it
stays
gives the
useless.
users an opportunity to use Doge and DeFi or something else on the Ethereum ecosystem. So it doesn't change the blockchain, yes, but for a holder, you now have more things you can do with your assets.
That's true. Yeah. So in terms of price appreciation, there'll be more volume and more. Yeah, it'll be traded more. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. If that happens, actually, yeah, that's a path for Doge. Other than Elon pumping it, like actually people just wrapping Doge, putting it everywhere else. That's a path. Yeah, for Doge. That's a good point.
I was getting concerned that like, you know, the conspiracy Elon was like spewing about, oh, wouldn't it be so ironic if like this meme coin that was made as a joke would become like our currency? And then everyone started pumping it. Like Mark Cuban went on national television calling this thing Dogecoin and like was like pumping it everywhere. And it's scary. It's a scary thought, but low key, he's right. Like the irony of it could be a thing.
I doubt it though. I don't think so.
Yeah, there's also the problem of like I don't know the specific, because I'm not a Doge investor. So I don't actually. I just know it's a shit coin, but isn't there also the problem of it being inflationary, like heavily inflationary, like tons of new Doge produced?
Yeah, exactly. They're produced every year, so it's like it's inherently like cannot like actually gain true value. So yeah, they'd have to change the whole fundamental of what it is. So
let's get into something a little bit more controversial. XRP.
Oh man, XRP.
We're gonna have an XRP army on our ass after this.
Before you started the podcast, I should have said let's not talk about XRP, but let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we don't have to get deep into it. For me, it's like a really simple argument for me. So I go like, there's this idea that so many crypto, what do you call it, investors, right? Enthusiasts, they will hold like over 100 cryptos. And when you come from like the stock market world, that's like really foreign, right? Either you buy like an index fund, which has your, your whole market, or you're like an individual stock investor, you'll pick like 10 to 20, not like 100, right? And you'll go deep on those because you're highly convicted on those. Whereas crypto, it's like very different because people like, yeah, I'll pick up a bag of this and that, right? So for XRP, like for me, if a coin doesn't like check all my boxes, I won't invest in it. And XRP, I just can't believe in its future because it's a banker's coin. It's made not for like the general public, like directly, but it's like the banks are going to be the customers for XRP. And maybe as a side effect, people will use it in the future. I can't imagine that as the future, but maybe. So I just choose to not invest in it. It's as simple as that.
That's a great answer. We're still gonna get hate for it, but that's like the perfect, like there's no other explanation for it. But there's just no like rationalizing with these people, so we're just gonna let it ride and see how this goes.
Yeah, dude, who wants to be on the side of the banks, dude? Screw the banks, man.
That's
and the thing about XRP is not just about the banks, it's about whether the coin has utility as well. And I could go on and on about it, but I wouldn't. So Krystal, please choose another currency.
Yeah, let's
I'm actually, Alysia, do you have a case for XRP being really good? I'd love to hear it, so we can get the contrast.
Yeah, let's do it.
So now, okay, sure. I would just touch on one other thing, besides the fact that it's not a decentralized blockchain, because all of their validators are chosen and approved by XRP, which means even if I set up a node today, I will not be validating transactions. But that is okay in the banking sector because they're already centralized. So they just like the fact that they have like a payment network that makes them even faster. So to some degree, maybe I can't argue with that too much. But the actual XRP cryptocurrency, when you buy a cryptocurrency, you want a currency that the value will increase over time, normally, because you're seeing it as an investment. We don't need XRP to pay gas fees because we're not the bankers. So we're not paying gas fees with XRP. So there's no reason for us to hold XRP as for utility. And then secondly, there are many products within Ripple, like within their foundation. The ones that the banks use is called X Current, and that one doesn't actually transact XRP. So the XRP token is not used for the transactions when they're transferring currencies from one bank to the other. So it's not used there, but they do have another product called X Rapid, where the XRP token is used. However, as far as I understand, I didn't do too much research into it, but the XRP token is bought and then quickly sold off. So it's used to have value. So if I say I'm going to sell $10 to Krystal, I would send $10 worth of XRP, and immediately Krystal as a bank would convert that into her currency, because you don't want the value to be lost in the transaction too much. So it's not even like the XRP is being built up for that value. So for all those reasons, I just think that for a retail investor, we should not be investing in XRP. If you're a bank using Ripple Network, of course, you need to pay for gas fees, but for us, no. So yes, a no for me.
She just put the nail in the coffin.
She really
It's
did.
a no for me, dog.
There's really no arguing with that, guys. There really isn't. So I'm glad we got that out there. It needed to be said. It did really.
Dude, now we're gonna, dude. Now XRP fanboys are gonna come for us.
Just title this coin like XRP going to zero, or something like that.
Yeah, or XRP equals trash or something. I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah, we'll put a clickbait title. We'll put a clickbait title. I'm down with that. What are your thoughts on VeChain?
Yeah, VeChain, one, I haven't done much research into VeChain, but I know they're trying to be kind of similar to XRP in the sense that they're trying to be this enterprise blockchain. I think what Alysia said about the validators, it might be true. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be true for VeChain as well. So in terms of VeChain, again, there are so many cryptos that I can choose one that both will do well in the future, probably, and I like as well. I'm passionate about. VeChain's not that for me, because enterprise blockchain, and I think they do some supply chain stuff and partnerships on partnerships. That's what people talk about, like, oh, this partnership, that partnership. I don't hate on it, but at the same time, it's not something where I'm investing in myself.
Okay. What about Solana? What are your thoughts on Solana?
Yeah, Solana. So I've been investing a little into Solana recently.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've learned so far, I started looking into this like very recently during the last crash. Made by, I think, a former Dropbox engineer. It's like really smart guy, and they have like this really unique proof of history or proof of time, a consensus. So that's like interesting. And at the same time, they're getting to the point where I think they're starting to build out their ecosystem. So you have like this unique consensus method, and whenever there's like a new proof of blah, I like to look into it. Although it's getting kind of overhyped, because like it's like diminishing returns. Like once you have like proof of stake and you've solved that big energy concern, on top of that, there's some benefits, but it gets more, I guess it gets more blurry. But yeah, Solana, I like that, they have that like scalability figured out, I think, with their proof of history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their network isn't that noisy. So yeah, overall, I would say it's pretty good. It seems pretty good. I'm picking up slowly as I learn. So as I make a bull case for it over time, I just pick more up, basically.
Yeah, I picked up a few like right before it crashed when it was like in the 40s, and I was so upset because it went down like under 20 when it crashed. But now it's, I think it'll sustain at a good price. But I've been dollar cost averaging into it ever since. I guess there's one more, because there's one that's been like hype all over TikTok right now, which is HBAR. I don't know if you've watched like the Lemon Bear like interviews. Like everyone's been hyping it up. All the creators have been talking about it, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Because I don't think I've heard you talk about it at all.
HBAR. Who's the Lemon person? Is that the?
He's the creator. Yeah.
Oh, he's the creator. Yeah, HBAR. I don't know much about HBAR. I looked into it briefly. HBAR, I think, uses what's known as like DAG technology. So basically a bunch of cryptos use that, which none of them I've like gotten into. Like I think Nano, H bar, IOTA. There's like a bundle of them that are using, like, it's not a blockchain, it's like DAGs. The main thing that like I looked at and I was like, oh man, this doesn't sound like it's for me, is basically they need this like centralized verifier or centralized like god figure for now, at least, because I think like if the network isn't busy enough, like you can't find a verifier for your transaction, something like that, right? So that sounds like it's experimental with potential, right? Where like if they can get rid of that centralization component and they have like a DAG, whatever it is, like actually working, provably and like academically verified somehow, then there's potential. But for now, it seems like something where you could buy like a little bit. I don't see anything super negative, but I'm not buying it because crypto is risky as it is. You want to check all those boxes. For me personally, I want to check all of them, and it doesn't check it for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you want to go down the rest of your list? I don't know where we were at. What number were we at?
Nah, that's fine. That's fine. The rest of them are all pretty good ones. The only things remaining are like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. And I can kind of guess, I don't know, maybe you could just quickly say Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Polkadot.
Okay. Yeah. Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. You know, since I said Bitcoin is overrated, I'm going to say all three of those are overrated for pretty much the same reason. Like, so I don't know if Litecoin is doing any developments. I think maybe they are. I don't know. Bitcoin Cash doesn't seem to be doing anything. So it seems like it's just a worse version of Bitcoin. Like it's like Bitcoin, but like the general doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. so it's like less marketed Bitcoin to me. And that just seems like, I don't know.
Isn't it the best way to go as far as like it being like cheaper and to use as far as like transactions faster? Isn't that why people use Bitcoin Cash? Or am I thinking of something else?
Bitcoin Cash compared to Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, yeah.
So in terms of like transacting or moving money, like your options aren't only Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. It's like there's like other cryptos. Like technically, even like you could move money in Cardano, right? Or you could move money in Ethereum. I guess Ethereum is gas fees, but Binance coin, right? So yeah, I just can't buy it. It's overrated for me. All three of them. And yeah, Polkadot. Man, Polkadot is, I would say it's just right. I don't think it's overrated or underrated. I would say it's just right because they're worth like 15 billion. So in terms of pricing, like that's pretty expensive still. In terms of like their technology, so they're founded by, I forget his name, but he's one of the co-founders of Ethereum. And I think their main thing is like parachains, right? So I hold a bit of Polkadot. I'm more bullish on Cardano, obviously. But obviously their Polkadot with their parachains and their whole like being interoperable with other blockchains, I think that's definitely part of the future. But at the same time, from what I've researched, like interoperability won't be like something unique to Polkadot. There are like most blockchains, most of the platforms should tackle that eventually. I know Cardano is going to try to tackle that. So yeah, I just go for Cardano over Polkadot. Maybe it's just a fanboy type of thing. But,
you are actually a huge fanboy of Cardano, we're finding out.
a little bit, yeah.
What are your thoughts on like because a lot of people are skeptical on Cardano because of Haskell and how it's written in Haskell, and people are worried that like developers aren't going to take it on. Is that really an issue right now though?
Oh man, this is going to be controversial probably, but I think that is such a BS argument to me. Like, so there's many angles you can tackle it. So there is the reality. Let's start with that. Like Haskell, if you Google it, like I think that's what many content creators are doing. They'll Google like Haskell programming language popularity, and then it's like, oh, it's like one of the worst languages, and they're like, oh, I found the weakness. The reality is, yeah, Haskell. Not many developers code in Haskell,
Yeah, exactly.
but at the same time, when you're building out, like Cardano's whole style is to move slow
Mhm.
and verifiably, or what academically verified, and Haskell is an amazing language. Like what's the term, functional, right? So Charles Hoskinson explained it really well. Like basically you're trying to translate a research paper into code. Haskell is great to do that. In terms of building the ecosystem, you know, if you look 5-10 years in the future, there's not going to be like millions of dApps. There will be, but the main core ones, like your automated market maker, like Uniswap, what else, like your lending platform, insurance, all these core things, you won't need like 20 of them, right? You need a few of them, and those few that will be built out, there will be people to build them out on Haskell, right? There's like tons of people who know Haskell. On top of that, the argument that Haskell is barely used actually is untrue. Big tech companies use Haskell for specific, really important pieces, like especially a lot of the integrity work. They will use Haskell. So, so what's going to happen? I like to say it like this: Haskell will prevent shitcoins, or like it won't prevent it, but like
True.
Haskell is going to be a barrier standing in the way of really shitty dApps and shitcoins, because developers are just going to go to Binance Coin, right?
Yeah, exactly. I also think that it's
Good
always a
point.
BS argument, because what defines what programming language people use? It's all demand, dude. So if Cardano becomes the next thing, people are gonna learn that shit. So it's complete BS that they're like, oh, dude, no one even uses Haskell, whatever, right? Like, but if Cardano becomes the thing, everyone's gonna learn that.
Yeah, like people could make a chicken and egg argument, like, oh,
Yeah,
if Haskell is not a good language, then there won't be an ecosystem, which means there won't be demand. But I think it's going to be like that's solved by that initial, those really good dApps initially.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have your dexes, and
yeah,
people are going to build those. Like there's like tons of smart people who are going to build those things out in Haskell, or Haskell, and that's gonna start the ball basically rolling.
yeah,
And not to mention, as a company, they have so much funding available to then have hackathons and developer grants. So at that point, you will get talent coming in because of the grants. That would be very attractive.
True.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. They have so much stuff going on, in terms of like their grants. Yeah, and also, you know, in the future they could do some kind of layer on top of, you know, their platform,
Yeah,
where there's
I
like
guess
an
they could
easier,
port it over.
they could port it, or they could have like a really like a domain specific language, some kind of layer on top. It's like really easy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can make your shit coins using this other thing.
I
All
don't
right.
think I have any more shit coins that I want to ask you
Yeah,
about.
I
But
was
now
about
I'm
to
gonna
say.
change my narrative of Cardano, because I kind of got sucked into thinking the Haskell thing. That's why I asked you. Yeah. Now I regret taking all that profit on Cardano. I should have kept it. Just kidding. Anyways,
So I guess what could be the final question? I mean, one thing I'm thinking is, do you think we are going into a bear market, a bull market, or something in between?
Yeah,
I actually have. Go ahead.
yeah, that's the question, the $1 million question, right? Oh, yeah. So, my opinion is we are going to be somewhere in between. So, I think um, this will be a short bear market. I call this a bear market just to simplify things. So right now, let's call this a bear market. Then it would be a short bear market followed by like some kind of long, windy bull market. Um, I think like a lot of the instruments that are being used right now that have worked in the past, like people use the stock to flow model for Bitcoin. I think that we'll see the first time that breaking completely, which is controversial, but I think Bitcoin will not behave like a commodity, like that people think it will. And there'll be like also potentially like the altcoins taking more and more market share from Bitcoin away, which will like throw the market into frenzy as people figure out what is going on. What is Bitcoin? Why is Bitcoin not doing anything while Ethereum and others develop and have ecosystems built? So I think somewhere in between where it's going to be really volatile and just up and down, but up and down going, trending upwards over the next like 3-4 years and into the like next halving, basically. Yeah.
I think you're on point on with that for sure.
That's just fully my feeling though. So it's like I can't even back it up with data because there's no like Bitcoin's history is so short in terms of like looking at financial data. Like 10 years is nothing. So it's just based on my opinion. It's like no data to back it up.
I don't think data can back any of this up
None of
anyway.
it.
Like we're in such a crazy like time. Like we went to a pandemic and then now like crypto just exploded. So it's kind of it's untouched territory here. So we don't know what's happening at all.
Yeah, for sure. So I just buy bags and hold it. That's what I do. I don't even care.
Great strategy. Hodl to the death for sure.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Huqsan. Thank you for coming on the show. This was a treat to actually like get to know you and talk, more in depth because I always go in your lives so I can like lurk on what you're talking about, but it's good to actually like talk to you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming to the Uncaught Exceptions podcast. Thanks for Huqsan for joining us and Alysia for being our crypto host, which I didn't know at the beginning of this. So, and we'll talk to you guys later. We're out.
Bye, guys.